my truth. Broadcasting live from beautiful British Columbia, it's Roadkill Radio. And now, here are your hosts, Terry Simpson and Terry O'Neill.
We'll be talking with, sitting to my left, on your right, I'm waiting patiently, Derek Hoare. Derek, thank you for being here tonight. Welcome to Roadkill Radio.
Okay, now let's talk about the one where the social workers were involved in a previous case involving a 911 call.
Well, that one, yeah, which I assume the 911 operator thought it was the cutest thing. Wyatt had lost his kitten and asked me if he could...
Now, wait a minute. So Wyatt, your oldest son, how old was he at this time?
He was late 7, early 8.
Okay, so not that long ago, but 3 or 4 years ago. He makes a call to 911.
His kitten went missing. He left the home to go find his kitten. He was going to walk up and down. I lived in a traffic-controlled neighborhood at the end of a cul-de-sac in Delta at this time, not in Abbotsford. And Wyatt left and was walking the streets, I guess. He went over to the 7-Eleven store, and he called 911 to ask for help finding his kitten. And...
Okay, so for most people would go, oh, that's a cute story, but social workers arrived at your house, or did they call you, or what happened then?
They came up. They came to my house and basically, wanted to know what I was going to do about this, and that my son was misusing the 911 system. I said he wasn't allowed to go to the 7-Eleven, so he already knows he's not allowed to go there because I didn't want him to cross Scott Road. He had specific boundaries he's supposed to stay in. So he did break that. He's broken it twice. Well, I was there for 3 years, so I mean, pretty good. He's a good kid.
Well, I thought he was rather resourceful. If you need help, because that's what children are trained to do, right? You call 911, and now I know who to call when I lose a cat.
Okay, so from the ministry's perspective, there's something on the record already about
receiving services.
About a child who has gone to a 7-Eleven unaccompanied, made a 911 call. Oh boy, this is raising a few warning flags. And then, some years later, another child, she doesn't call the 911, ends up the whole world calls 911 to try to find the missing child. So the ministry is saying there's this red flag there from their point of view. They got 5 red flags in this latest case, both times involving children, doing stuff away from escaping or disobeying or going places they weren't supposed to. And so they start seeing, I guess, I'm just guessing here, a bit of a worrisome pattern. Is that what they explain?
Well, I guess that's how the theory would hold, right? Is basically they're saying that, and it wasn't just that and then nothing until this. There was other incidences between.
Okay.
Right. Never were, of course, the children removed, and always it was the same situation, or not even, they would escape a different way, and it wasn't the same kid. One time Wyatt played in a park on a Sunday afternoon, and they were called, right? Okay. And another time, my kids, there's a lot of autistic kids do, they always want to tear their clothes off, right? So they'd be in my yard, and they'd rip off their clothes. Someone would call in and say they were seen in my yard playing naked, right? Things like this they would get called in for.
But you would expect that the ministry would be well aware of the issues related to autism, that this is,
They were. That's why nothing happened ever before this.
Oh, okay, so now they're here last week.
Right.
They come to your place. They want you to agree to sign this voluntary order. First thing out of their mouths is that it involves the removal of Ein from the home.
Correct.
So you basically shut down there and say no. Then what happens?
Well, I had the laptop in front of me, coincidentally, so I immediately type in Legal Aid BC and get their number. I stand up and I start phoning them. I walked out of the room upstairs and I said to Wyatt, they're taking Ein. And he said, what? And I said, they're taking Ein. And I was walking back down the stairs and he followed me in there and they said, Wyatt, you have to leave. And I'm like, no, he can stay. He can hear this. And Wyatt sat down on the couch, and Wyatt hit record.
Well, and let's
hit record
listen.
on what?
On the laptop.
Oh, okay.
And this is, one of the
I
things
didn't know
I've
he had
said
done it, by the way.
is, with all these thousands of cases I've helped with, when social workers confront you with they're going to take your child, how does that affect a parent? Yeah. And in this case, we have the live recording. So people, this is the recording that happened at this moment when the full realization they were going to take your daughter, right?
Right.
Okay. Are we ready to go on it?
Would you like to see the special needs agreement that we put together?
He doesn't want to see the special needs agreement.
Would you like to at least look at it?
You guys don't know who you're talking to. I'm an individualist who does not believe you guys have the right to come and see the kids. Kids who are loved, kids who are cared for. Okay? This is an accident that I have to deal with. I have to deal with these things. Okay? My daughter sprayed shit on the ceiling. Okay, on the walls, how many times have I cleaned it up? You don't know.
That's why we're...
Okay, she smashes her head through windows. You guys know what do you... She did it at the school, then you're government here already. You guys can't stop her. You can't stop her any more than... And you don't know what happens to kids who go in these places. Do you want to look it up? Do you want to look it up? Type it in. Type it into Google. What happens to these little disabled kids in these facilities? Okay, because the videos are online, man. They're out there. You guys don't know what you're doing because she jumped a fence. Because my 9-year-old knows how to jump a fence and doesn't know what danger is. You're going to take her away from those who love her. You look in my eyes, okay? You look in them. Look, okay? Yeah. You.
What's your supervisor's name?
What's
your supervisor's name?
She's loved
Do
here.
you have any kind of a card?
I do, yes. Unfortunately, this one has my direct line. So if you have a pen.
And what time are you looking at here?
For what?
Well, you're basically saying if he's not going to voluntarily sign her into
There's
this.
no ball. You can point at someone and say, here, voluntarily give your
Okay,
kid up.
I agree. So you're saying these are the options. She's going to be taken either way. What time frame are we looking at?
We're in court within 7 days, so we will be in court the next Tuesday.
Tuesday at 9:30 at the hour.
That's called the presentation hearing, and if it's contested, then it just goes over to a family case conference.
And in the meantime, she stays in the home?
Yeah.
No.
Or she stays in the ministry approved foster home.
So she's, as of today?
As of today.
That's not what happened either.
No, and I'm going to ask about that because you're told in that tape very clearly, and I'm going to come back to the tape, but she's going to be taken to a ministry-approved foster home.
Right.
Is that what happened?
No.
What happened?
Well, my daughter was deemed unsuitable for the foster care system, and instead she was put into what they said was a specialized hospital for evaluation until she's stabilized.
Okay, so your big concern that I heard come out of that very emotional, very moving bit of sound was that regardless of where she was going to be put, whether it was a foster home, an institution, or where she ended up in a hospital, that she wouldn't get the loving care, the devotion that she gets from you.
That's right.
The sort of devotion that led to you, you cleaning up the messes she makes and looking after her 24 hours a day. The sort of love that you have, that commitment, because you've seen, you've heard, you've seen, you've read reports about what happens to these sorts of kids when they get put into the hands of the government. What sort of homes or institutions do children like yours, Ein, end up in typically? Do you know, do they normally go to a home, or do they normally go to an institution? I mean, what was your fear here?
Well, if it was Lyric, he may end up in a foster home. If it was Ein, she is going to end up in an institution, is where they would put her.
Now, will they sedate her or drug her or what?
Well, right now, realistically, I mean, of course, I haven't been told, but
okay,
with
wait a minute.
of this,
full stop. You have not been given an update about the condition of your daughter?
They haven't told me anything, where she is or how she's doing. It's day 12.
And day 12. Now, you mentioned they're putting her in this place until she can be stabilized.
Correct.
What was she stable when she was at your home? And what do they mean? And so she became unstabilized when they took her away. Did she? What was her reaction?
I have no idea. She was in the school at the time.
Oh, I see. So you never even saw that.
So you weren't even given an opportunity to explain anything to her? They took her from the school?
They took her from the school.
Wow. Okay, so no goodbyes. Did they come and get a suitcase?
No.
No?
They took nothing of hers.
So she has no toy? Does she have some favorite toys that she would have liked to have had with?
Toys and music.
Teddy bears and music, and she has none of that stuff?
Nothing.
I wouldn't be surprised if it takes a long time for her to be stabilized in a circumstance like that.
She has autism. They're not going to stabilize her. All they're going to do is basically medicate her until she's lethargic.
And
they want to give her risperidone, is what I've heard up to. Not since she was taken, but it was advised to me several months before she was taken. I'm sure it says in my file there that I am standoffish and that I believe in our civil liberties, and I don't think that I never thought they had the power to remove my kids. I was never afraid of them. I thought as long as my kids are loved and cared for, they're not abused, they're well fed, they're taken care of, they're being educated in the home better than in the school, I never thought in my wildest dreams they could take a child like that away.
It would be a great surprise if they could, given the history, given what we know about situations like this, that if they could match any of those things, the care, the love, the education, the safety, all of those things that you provide, did they say in this confrontation that that they had now concluded that you were not up to providing these things? Is that what they had concluded? Or because of the incident of her disappearing? Did they say, well, it's clearly you're not up to the job?
No, they tried to make it sound more sympathetic, like that's why we're here to help
they're
you.
rescuing you.
Right.
Oh.
Well, one would think that would be an entirely voluntary thing. And talk about Kafkaesque when they say, this is going to be, we're presenting you with a voluntary thing. But if you don't agree to it, well, we've got this mandatory thing on the other hand.
Right, this is akin to a mugger coming up to you in the alley and saying, give me your wallet or I'm going to take it, and you give it to him, and his defense in court is you voluntarily give it to
That's
him.
exactly what it is akin to.
That's not what voluntary means.
That's Stalinesque, Kafkaesque for the literary-minded. It's scary. So they come in there and they present this nanny state sort of ultimatum, where it's pretending to be in your best interest, but you're saying, this is not in my best interest, it's not in my children's best interest. Correct. If you think it's in the best interest, well, you tell me and tell me exactly why you think it's in the best interest, right?
Now, your support system, you have daily contact, or at least pretty close to daily contact with the schools.
Yes,
was there people willing to support you?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's lots of people that are willing to support me when I request help. I don't.
Well, what about the principal? She gets to see your interaction. Did you ask her for a letter of support?
Yeah, the principal was very supportive of me and couldn't believe that this happened. And me and the principal have spent many hours talking over this time. And when I asked her for a letter of support, I was told to get them. The principal informed me she'd have to talk to her supervisor at the district. The supervisor at the district told her that no, she could not give me a letter of support or correspond with me at all on this subject, and that if she did, it would be direct insubordination and she'd be subject to termination.
I know that sometimes a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I just wanted to display these pictures here. I don't know if we can really get as close to them as we need to, but there's a picture of Ein and a picture of Derek and Ein as well here, and this is... I was going to say, I'm not going to be melodramatic, because all you have left of her, you've got everything of hers except her herself, because she doesn't have her little teddy bear that she's holding in this picture. That's obviously very dear to her. She wasn't able to bring that. She wasn't able to bring her Eeyore the donkey T-shirt with her either, Winnie the Pooh character, unless she was wearing it. Who knows what sort of clothes they've given her now. A very dear, loving photograph here. It's got to break your heart.
It does.
How are the other two children taking this, the loss of their sister?
Well, I think you can see the effects sort of in both of them. Wyatt has a different level of understanding, so I think his biggest concern is probably, is he next? I mean, if this can happen to her.
Oh, the fear, absolutely.
Right, and Lyric, it doesn't almost seem to affect him other than the last 5-6 nights in a row. Lyric has slept in my room. He hasn't tried to sleep in my room for years. I've crashed on the couch and he's crashed in my bed, and he doesn't want to leave my side. So I don't know what he's thinking, but he knows something's amiss.